And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. We've seen a lot of changes to education in the pandemic, from remote and hybrid learning to more violence on campus and even the lowest test scores in decades. 2022's NAEP National Report Card revealed an estimated 4 in 10 eighth graders struggle to understand basic math. My next guests have witnessed all of these changes firsthand. Joining me now here on The Factor Uncensored, HISD Board Trustee Kathy Bluford-Daniels and educator Tony Imani Fisher. Glad to have you both here on The Factor Uncensored. What was it like in the throes of the pandemic when kids started doing remote learning? You were boots on the ground in the field. What was that like? How difficult was that to adjust?
It was very difficult. It was extremely difficult for administrators, teachers, parents, students, just the technology alone, right? Some children didn't have computers, some parents didn't have Wi-Fi, so some teachers, right? Teachers didn't even have computers. So it was a very difficult switch to navigate and figure out how are we going to get the work done.
And as an administrator in an entire school district, Kathy, when you learned that there were some teachers, and not only students, but some teachers without computers, you guys had to come up with the money to make it work.
We actually did. Thank you first for having us and addressing this topic, because it's so important in our communities in general, the learning loss. But yes, there were teachers that didn't have computers. We spent, HISD, over $30 million trying to purchase computers. And keep in mind, we were purchasing the computers at the same time. Everyone in the United States was trying to get computers.
So there was probably a shortage.
There was a shortage, and there was a problem with them coming in. Of course, where most of the parts are made in China, some of the parts could not get in time because China was shut down. So we had extreme difficulties getting them in. So they came in sort of like in waves, and we had to issue them accordingly. But yes, we had to issue them to teachers, and then we had issues with, as Imani said, with technology, people being able to access the internet. And a lot of the area in which I represent, Fifth Ward, Cashmere Garden, etc., they're older homes and schools, and they don't have access to the technology. They don't have internet access. It's very difficult for them.
And Tony, many students found themselves left behind as a result of this not being in, and that tells you how important a teacher is. If they're not in that classroom, the learning isn't the same.
It was not the same, you know, from the elementary school students to all the way to the high school students. It was a huge shift and challenge. Not only did they not have their teacher, but they didn't have their peers, they didn't have the social connection, they didn't have access to lunch. There were a lot of healthcare, nurses at school, so many things our students just did not have access to during that period, which made it very difficult. Even my own son struggled, right? It was difficult. He was in high school, grades dropped, GPA dropped, felt like he was never going to go to college, you know.
And not to mention, they didn't have that social interaction that so many young kids need. They didn't have their prom, they didn't have their graduations, and those kids will never get that stuff back again.
And an important factor is they didn't have the nutrition.
Right.
A lot of children in elementary school and middle school needed that interaction, needed to be able to go to those campuses just to get nutrition. So that was the impact. Of course, lack of nutrition impacts learning loss. So there are so many factors that no one could have predicted would have occurred with this, because we shut down in March of 2020, like most of the country. We went on lockdown, and that's when we started experiencing issues immediately.
Same time as the rodeo. So how difficult was it looking at the decline in learning and in test scores for HISD officials like yourself, a member of the board there?
It's still difficult, and I can't understand or even fathom how long it will take us to really catch up, because the children that have been most impacted are Black and brown students, and they were already behind for the most part other students, white students and Asian students, so they were already behind. And now studies say that the children have lost anywhere from 5 months to a year, so it's going to be difficult to catch up. That means it's stressful for the teachers. It's stressful on everyone. The parents are going to have to actually help try to accelerate that process by having the students read more to them, et cetera, et cetera. And we're going to have to all be engaged. It is truly going to take a village.
Absolutely. We want to thank both of you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored.